Jai Hind to everyone. My name is Vikas, Assistant Professor in Computer Science and Engineering Department at Ajay Garg Engineering College. Today, I'm going to discuss a topic on the CSS. Introduction about the CSS is there, which is Cascading Style Sheets for providing the information with respect to web pages are there, how we are going to make our content or web pages more vibrant or colorful are there. So these are the my outline my presentations. What is the introduction to CSS, type of CSS is there, what is the CSS properties there, and how the cascading and specificity is being used when we have the we have to apply the CSS on the some on one element, and how they will behave is there. Okay. So CSS, as you already know, what is CSS is Cascading Style Sheets. Is a style sheets language used to describe the presentation and the formatting of document written in the HTML or the XMLs are there. When we say cascading means the level of the layers in which we apply the CSS are there, just like in a waterfall where we start from the top to the bottoms are there. We apply the same way we apply the these CSS in our HTML web pages are there, irrespective the heading of the web pages are there, or the bottom of the web pages are there, or in between the web pages are there. So for that we provide this CSS are being generally used are there. Initially when the web page or you can say HTMLs weren't web pages were created, at that time the web pages are in black and white form. There is no colors are there. So in 1997 or after then, that CSS was introduced, and so that make our website having the more colors, fonts, layers, spacing, etc. are there. So CSS basically control the visual appearance of the web elements of web pages, just like your colors, fonts, layouts, and spacing, which allow the developers to separate HTML from designing the CSS in order to maintain and provide the flexibility to the developers are there. So key concept with respect to CSS are there, or you can say the main purpose of CSS is to enhance the visual appeals of your web pages are there. You can ensure the consistency among the multiple web pages, so providing the similar type of styling across all the web pages are there, or you can provide the different styling where you want to highlight the content of your web pages are there. They also enables the responsive design for the different devices like your desktop, tablet, mobiles, etc. are there. In this basically CSS we apply the rules to the HTML elements are there, and their selectors by using the selectors are there. CSS rules consist of selectors and the block where the or you can say sections where you declare the properties of the CSS are there. So generally CSS basically consists of selector and declaration block are there. In CSS, while writing it, the code is fundamental skills for the styling and the web pages there. So CSS consists of rule sets that provide the styles to the HTML elements are there. So these rule sets consist of two basic main parts. One is selector, another is your declaration block is there. Selector means specify on which elements that we have to provide the styling is there. And within that selector, after identifying the selector, we have to declare, we provide a declaration block are there which contain one or more properties, or you can say the rules within that declaration blocks are there. So format for that is just basically is your selector are there, then the within the curly braces are there, you have to write the those properties, whether with respect to background of the web page, whether with respect to font of the web page, whether with size of the text is there, or anything is that you want to display is there. So these are these are set rules are being defined while writing the CSS are there. So this is the for examples that I have taken. This is where the selectors is being there are there, and then the properties which define which having certain values are there. For that, this is examples where we have the P is, as we generally use P within the bracket. Say we use for the paragraph, and we close it with the pair of tags are there. For that, we have to apply the, let's suppose within this paragraph, we have to, whatever the content that we have written, we can increase or decrease the size of the text, or we can also provide the color of the text is there. We can also provide the what is kind of background we can have these there. So in this example, we have the P is your selector on which we are applying this CSS, CSS there, or you can say styling is there, where the color of that text is blue in color, and the font size is of your 16px is there. It means 16 pixel size is there. So here the P is the selector, and the colors and the font size are the properties with their respective values are being defined while writing in a CSS are there. So before going to write any CSS files are there, we can set up an environment are there. For the writing the CSS, we require some text editors, we require browsers are there, we must have the basic knowledge of HTMLs are there. When I say text editors, we can use the Visual Codes, Visual Studio Code is there, we can use the Sublime Text are there, we can use the Notepads are there, we can use the text edit which is being used in Mac is there. So after applying the text editors, now we have to display, or we can view our those whatever the things that we have applied on that web page. So in order to test it, we need a web browsers are there, like your Firefox, Chrome, Internet Explorer, Safari, etc. are there. So browser developers tools helps the inspect or debug their styles are there to the which provides basically helps the developers are there. And then some HTML basic knowledge, because CSS styles are being used or you can say implemented in HTML element, so that they can be defined, or you can say provide in a environment for the CSS there, and so that we in order to apply the CSS, we should have the basic knowledge of HTML is there. And we can also create a simple HTML files. Let's say in this, for example, index.html, and we have to create a CSS file that is style.css is there. Then we can way in order to provide the styling to the that web pages are there. There are different ways through which we can provide the styling to the CSS are there, or you can say web pages are there, in which we can define it how the web page will look like it there. So there are three ways we can add CSS to HTMLs are there. You can apply CSS to HTML three ways: external CSS, internal CSS, or the inline CSS are there. So external method is most recommended for the maintainability is there. Why it is being is recommended? Because you create the separate the CSS file is there, in which you have to provide the different types of fonts, stylings are there, then you can use those CSS file in any of your projects are there, or you can, if you want to change it, then you can easily able to do it without touching the HTML files are there. So come to the external CSS are there, we have to create in a separate files with a CSS .css extensions is there. Let's say you have created a CSS file that is style.css are there. Now we have to link it in your HTML file with the help of the link tag in the head sections are there. Then you use the href in order to call that is there. So let's take example. First we have to create an HTML file, then we have to create the CSS file, then we have to call it. Let's see how the that your web page will look like is there. So in this examples, I have we have created one simple web page where the body in which we have we defining the take the header file. Header is that h1 in which we are displaying the hello world, and in another we have taken the paragraph where we have written the content, or let's say text is there. This is a paragraph is there. Now, if we without applying, let's suppose we are not applying this right now in this HTML file is there. So if we don't apply it, then this will when you run open this or you can say run this HTML this index.html, then this web page will be look like this, is where the hello world is written, and then this is the paragraph is there where the text color is being defined here, and with the background is white in color. Hello world is written in the black color is there. We have not applied what will the font is there, what will the color is. They have taken the default values is there with respect to that. So if we apply the CSS here in this case, then we have to apply a link relationship styles sheets that we are have to which we have save it is there, and we take a link is that is styles.css is being called into your that file is there. So first we have to doc HTML we have to write. We have taken the English language here. We have created a head there where we have used the encoding that is UTF-8 is there for the character sets are there. Then the title is being defined where this is a CSS tutorial. The title of the web page is there. Then this CSS file is now linked in this header file, so that anything whatever the styles that we have defined, it will automatically will be applied here when we open that web page, and this will be look more colorful here in this case. So let's take in a CSS file. So as we have used the two tags are there in the body section of the HTML files are there, that is index.html. So as per the rules, we have to take the first one, selectors are there, then the their respective properties are there. So first one h1 is there where color is this, and the text align is has to be in centers are there. Then again we have another sector we have taken, that is P for the paragraph that we are doing it. We have defined the font size is 1.5 em, and the color is white, and background is background color is black here in this case. So I guess this must be in a yellow here in this case. Okay, and the color here that must be in a black here in this case. Sorry. Okay, so this will be when you open this HTML web page, that this will be look like this in this case. This is your external CSS is there. Another is next one is internal CSS. Internal CSS basically is you have to place the CSS inside the style tag within the head section of the HTML file is there, and you can use it for the small projects or testing, but with the less maintainable for the large sites are there. If the project is smaller in size, then we can use the internal CSS is there. Otherwise, we have to use the external is there. So in this case, we have we have the HTML and a head is there. Within the head, we have created a style. As we are taking these previous examples in which two tags are being used, H1 and P. So instead of defining it separately, we have to write within the HTML file is there. So style H1, the color is we are taking right now is orange is there, and we have defined the font size is 16px is there. When we run it, and then this will be look like this is there. If you see it is there in the both of the previous example, we have taken the font size as 1.5 EM is there, and we have taken the font size as 16px are there. Both are basically units which would define the what is the size of the font size are there. When we say EM is there, that is basically is the multiples of the parent font size is there. So generally in while designing the web pages are there, we generally instead of EM we use the REM is being used. Why it is being used? Because it follows the root of the root size across the whole web pages is there. So we have to use the REM instead of the EM is there. That is, we will discuss it later on. Most of the things while defining the CSS are there. The third one is inline CSS. Inline CSS basically is if we have to apply the with respect to one elements, or we can say with respect to single tags is there where that you want to apply it, then you have to write the styling within that tag is there. So add CSS directly to the HTML element using style attributes. Avoid this for the large projects as is mixed content presentation make the maintenance very hard is there. So here the code of the your styling is small as comparatively to the external as compared to the internal are there. Here in this case we have to write an HTML body. Within that body you have taken the H1 tag is there. We write a style is equal to color red here, and the text is being aligned as a center here in this case. Then what we are to write display, that is hello world here. Then we close this H1 tag. Now we provide a styling for the paragraph. We say P style equal to color say it is green in colors, and hello student, that we have to write in the paragraph, and we have to close that paragraph is there, and the body is color. So if we taking the difference between these two H1 and P is that here we are placing the text in the center is there. Here we are not aligning it at center is there. So by default it will be left side is there. So if this web page will open, if you see that this hello world will be in the middle of the your screen is there, and the hello students will be at the left side of the screen is there. So these are three types of CSS are there. So they basically we apart from this P1 P and H1, there are others CSS selectors are there. We have the class selectors are there. Element selector we already discussed. H1P is there. Class selector we have the containers is there, or you can say any class is being created. With respect to that class, you can define the CSS file. Then we have to write call that in the let's suppose we are calling the div class. Then we call that in that container for with respect to the that div class is there. Then we have for the ID selectors, we have means targeting the unique elements with an ID is there, where we can provide the CSS as there. So we call it in HTML div ID headers. Then this headers, whatever that you want to return within that div file, div tag is there. Then we have group selector style when we apply to the multiple elements at once is there. So we just need to separate out H1, H2 and comma H3 are there, where the with these headings we apply the font family Arial and sans serif is there. When the text is being displayed, that will display in this fonts are there. The common properties with respect to CSS are there. We have to provide the colors for and the backgrounds are there. So we have to write body, the background colors. This is in the hexa code is there. We can also write the color name. If you know the colors, name of the colors, you can write the name of the color. Let's suppose we say here we are writing the purple. We can say like green here. So background color will be green and the color of the text will be the purple here in this case. If we say font, then within the paragraph, there the font family is Georgian serif is there. Font size is 16px is there. Height, line height is the 1.5 is there, which define the height of the font is there. Then we have the box model where the classes being for the classes are there. Margins, it means we have the box are being created. Within that box, what is the margin, what is the boundary of the that box is there, what is the top, what is the bottom, what is the left, what is the right. Values that can be defined here in this case. We can also define the margins with respect to the out of the box is there. We can define the padding within the content it has to return, whether in the middle is there or left or bottom or right, whatever that you want. Then you can define the padding is there, border is there. So if you say solid black, width of the block is there. We can also provide properties with the text alignment. So let's say text hyphen aligned, which is center or you can say left or right are there. So best practice for the writing the CSS is to use the external CSS style sheet is there, because it is easily maintainable and we can reuse it on different projects are there. Always organize the code in group related styles. Use the comments for the clarity is there. You have to avoid the or you can say you have to avoid the override other styles and can create a maintenance issues there. So we have to override the other styles there. Use shorthand properties. You have to combine the properties like margin or padding to reduce the code is there. For this, in this example, we have the boxes there where margin is 10px and 20px is there. Length is 20px is there. So let's suppose if we have a top and bottom is 10px, then instead of writing the top 10px, we can write one as a 10px is there. And if say left and right 20px size, so left and right border size is 20px, we can just simply write in it instead of 20px, we can write in it 20px is there. So you, whenever that web page opens, they will automatically read it that these points are these values are with respect to top and bottom, and these values are with respect to left and right. So we have to, if we have to write club it, combine it, so this will be the top and bottom, this will be the left and right is there. Okay, now another important point that we come across the CSS is that their priority is there. So cascading and specificity provides the priority is there, which tells that which types of CSS is having the priority over the other type of CSS are there. So inline CSS having the high priority. Then we have internal priority and external priority is the second one is there, and then the browser default priority is there in this case. So specificity basically determine which rules we have to apply when the multiple rules are targeting the same elements are there. It means whether respect to inline CSS or external, or you can say you are applying it the types of colors on the. Let's suppose we have the tag is there, elements is there. You want to apply the different colors is there. Now, which one will look supersede the others are there? So so that there won't be any kind of ambiguity is there. For that, we know already that inline style is having the highest priority. ID or anything that is start with the hash is there. We have the second priority. Then we have the class and attributes, pseudo codes, elements, and pseudo elements will be having the lower priority is there. Okay, so in this manner we have to provide the priorities is there. So in order to understand how we are going to calculate the priorities there, for that we have to create a tuples is there, and in that tuples we have to define the 4 numbers, that is A, B, C, D is there, and we have to place those tuples values within that tuples are there. So how we are going to place it? For the inline style, we have to place our tuples at A. At this A place is there. So style applied directly to the HTML elements using style attributes, so which is having the high priority, high specificity. ID where can be defined at the location B is there. Class and attributes or pseudo classes can be applied at the location at the third location, that is C there. Element pseudo elements are there, like your P or H1s that can be applied on the D is there. Let's take examples how these are being applied are there. So specificity score calculations, each selected types is counted and counts are placed in ABCD formats are there. Compare the numbers from left to right. Higher the number of the higher category outweigh any number in the lower categories are there. Let's say B, C, D is there. So it is important to declare, provide the declaration override specificity. Expect another important with the higher specificity is there. So and the universal selectors like star, greater than, plus, and these symbols are there. They don't provide any kind of contribute to 0 to the specificity is there. So consider these examples where we have the CSS rules are being applied. We have created the 2 line where when div1 div id is equal to main class and container is there, and then in the next line we have the P paragraph where class, introduction, text, and we have closed this paragraph and D tags are there. So we have to apply the to find which one colors will be identified. So here in the rule 1 we say that at paragraph with the color of the text is black is there. So we place this as a 1 here in this case. Rule 2 say the dot introduction, which is class, and this that is the third locations is there. So we place it 1 as the third locations. Blue. Hash main P is there. There are 2 values are the main and P is there. Main is at the second location and the P is at the 4th locations are there. So we write 101 0101 right there. And we have here the div P dot introductions. Here are the 3 elements on which we are applying the colors are there. The div P is there. Div is basically div and P is are there. So they will at the 4th locations and the introduction for the at the 3rd locations are there. So when we going through these rules 1, 2, 3, 4 are there, we have to compare these rules are there as we say. Let's suppose the rule 3 and 4 are being compared, and rule 3 in the rule 3 the value of the at the B is overweight, or you can say override the others priorities are there. So the colors red will be chosen here in this case as like here. So P1 elements, select this one for the this one for the ID main and elements we got this one, and for the rule 5 we get this one as well. For the P class introduction elements we have to compare the rules 3 and the rule 4 is there. The ID rule will give the higher value, B value, so the rule 3 wins and the text will be in red colors is there. Okay. So in this manner we provide the, or you can say values, what kind of colors that being applied, or we can say which is having the higher priority when we have to apply the different different attributes or different values to the same elements are there. So this is all about the CSS is there, where we have discussed the what is CSS is there, and what are the different types of CSS are there, and the internal, external inlines are there, what are the different selectors are being used, how we are going to write a code for the CSS are there. So this is the basic introductions where the CSS can be used. CSS basically is more about providing the styling to the web pages, so that your web page looks nice is there. Okay, so this is the introduction with respect to CSS is there. Thank you.